just going to run through our endodontic products. So I'm going to start off with the files. We have the Toothsaver files here. They're nice conservative files. So what I do with these ones is try and save as much pericervical dentine as possible. They have really good cutting efficiency and they have a good combination between strength and flexibility of the files. We also have the VS Flexi Blue files. Now these give a really conservative shape. So it's an 0.6 taper, but it only cuts on the bottom 3mm of the length of the file. And it's a regressive taper above that. So as I say, super conservative shapes with these ones. We also have the mini cut files. So these ones were developed by Dr. Steve Buchanan. Now there's a large range of files and options with these ones depending on the anatomy that you're facing and the curvature that you're facing. So Dr. Buchanan has done a webinar for us, so if you're looking for more information on that one, we can send on the link to that webinar. It goes through all of the files there in a lot of detail. He also developed the Endobender, which pre-shapes the files. So it'll curve the files depending on the anatomy of the curvature of the canal that you're facing, which is a lovely piece of kit. We also have the ED Max files. These have special flutes with saw-like projections, so they have a really good cutting efficiency. There are EDM files, so they're very flexible, but they also have extreme resistance to fracture. Now, in terms of motors, we have a really good motor here. It's the black AI motor. Now this motor has a narrow contra-angle head which rotates 360 degrees, and the fact that it's narrow like that is great where access is difficult. So if we're doing an upper six or what have you, it's great for that situation. It has features like a integrated apex locator, different features like apical stop, apical slow down. It's got a great feature called T-mode, which is great for bypassing ledges. So it'll have a watch winding motion up to the ledge. When it gets to the ledge, then it changes to small up and down amplitudes to get over the ledge, and then it reverts to a rotational movement after that. It's wireless, brushless, and it has speeds up to 2,500 RPM, which is great for retreatments and for more advanced endo. Now we have a really nice bioceramic sealer called One Fill. Now this sealer, it's got great sealing properties. It flows really well. It's antibacterial. It's dimensionally stable, so it doesn't shrink when setting. The way our endodontist Daniel normally uses it is that he'll get a GP point that matches his finishing file. He'll place that to length and he'll inject the bioceramic sealer. It causes a hydraulic condensation which pushes all of the sealer into the isthmuses and lateral canals. And because it doesn't shrink when setting, there's no need for warm vertical condensation with this. So it's also biocompatible, so if there is any extrusion, it's not as much of an issue as it would be with some of the other sealers. In cases of apexification, if you need to create an apical plug, great piece of kit here called the Zermerg Shavid pellet former. It was actually designed by one of our Facebook group members. So basically you need to determine the working length and choose the relevant GP point. You need to cut the GP point at the correct apical diameter. We know the length of the pellet former is going to be 3.5mm. So you cut 3.5mm from the GP point. Stick the putty then to the bottom of the GP point, and your total length then will be the total working length, and that can be placed then to length. The bioceramic putty, you can use the One Fill PT, which is a great one. This can also be used in cases of deep caries. It can be used as a alternative to biodentine. And the GP cutters are also great too. If you want to just carry less stock of your GP points, you can just cut the GP points to the correct length and diameter. Now we also have the Aeriflex irrigation needles. Now these are made of polypropylene as opposed to the older metal type needles. So these are great for going around curves because they bend around the curves, which you get obviously deeper into the canals. It's got two side vents at the tip, and that creates a shear force which is great for removing debris, smear layer and biofilm. It's got a 30G tip, 4% taper, and it's got different depth markers, and you can fit a rubber stop on it as well. Now we've also put together some ultrasonic kits. So the first one is the Endo Access Kit. This kit has 5 different tips. So the first 2 are for preparation of axial walls, or if the patient struggles to open, or you just kind of comfortably get the head of the handpiece in. This can be used for finding the canals, deroofing the chambers, or if you need just good visualization. The 3 other tips are used to locate the canals, remove calcifications, remove coronal part of GP for retreatments, cleaning out isthmuses, and getting access to fractured instruments. The second kit then is the ultrasonic irrigation kit. These have 5 tips for irrigation activation. So the first is used for troughing between canals, or if there are 2 canals that are close together in an isthmus, this can be used to open between the isthmuses and make sure that the irrigation penetrates deeper down. So once the canals are fully prepared, with 3 tip options. So you have long, narrow tips. 2 have a 2% taper, and the smallest has a 20 tip and a 1% taper. These can get deep down into the canal system for effective irrigation activation. These can also be used for removing fractured instruments. Now there's also a special tip which you can attach polymers onto. They can be used for dynamic irrigation rather than having to use a GP point around curves. But if you want, you can use it with power too, but just to make sure that it's used on the lowest power. And we've also put together a ultrasonic instrument removal kit with katana tips. So it's 4 ultrasonic tips. The first 2 are used to get access to the separated instrument. The second 2 have katana tips, and the idea of that is it allows make a small semicircular space on the inner curve. So once it's activated, that the instrument is removed coronally. But with the katana tips, it just makes sure that not too much tooth structure is removed. So it's done in a very conservative manner. Now this is the dual ringe HEDP. It was created by Professor Matthias Sender as an irrigating solution. There are a number of advantages of this system. The first is that it's just one solution that's needed for both disinfecting and conditioning the canal system. So you don't have to alternate between sodium hypochlorite and EDTA, which will obviously save some time also. It conditions the dentine for root filling. It also helps identify the canals, so it's a little bit easier to see the canals. It reduces the stress on the instrument, and it helps prevent the buildup of the debris and smear layer. As I say, all with one solution. If you have any questions about any of the products I've mentioned or on any of our other products, if you get in touch there, we can send you on more details and we can put you in touch with our endodontist, Daniel.